because that's a, all right, there we go. We're gonna keep working with subjunctive versus indicative. Okay, thank you, Paul. So, subjunctive versus indicative. And we talked about subjunctive being like more doubting, not really sure, and indicative being very sure that the activity is happening. Today we're going to work with these 4 phrases that all talk about time. And these are conjunctions. We'll talk about that in a second. But we have cuando, en cuanto, tan pronto como, and those both mean the same thing. En cuanto and tan pronto como mean the same thing. And hasta que. So these are all conjunctions. Does anyone know what any of those mean?
No, but for the tan, is it quanto or pronto?
Pronto. I'm going to rewrite it. It came out messy. Thank you. Tan pronto como. There we go. So cuando means when. En cuanto and tan pronto como both mean as soon as. And hasta que means until. Okay. And these are all conjunctions about time. Basically saying that first something else happens, when this happens, or as soon as this happens, or until this happens. And we're going to look at very specific examples. The first thing to know is that this is like a grammar pop out. A conjunction unites 2 clauses. Oh, that's the number 2. Rough day. 2 clauses. Clauses are separate ideas. Okay. So in a sentence, we'll have clause 1, a conjunction, and clause 2, which is another idea. Any questions so far? I think it'll get easier once we have real examples. Okay, so what's up?
Can we go over the homework after, because I got all of them wrong?
I can show you what notes to look at, but it was really just identifying whether like the phrase, the doubt phrase or the not doubt phrase, and deciding whether the verb would be in the subjunctive or the indicative. But Matt, if you want to meet separately, we can go over it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So, do you guys know what if-thens are? If I said we're going to do an if-then?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So, the first if is if clause 1 is in the present or the past. And then we have a time conjunction. Then you will use the indicative in clause 2. So if clause 1 has a verb in the present or the past, so that could be the preterite, the imperfect, the present perfect, or the pluperfect, or the present, then in the next clause, you're going to have a verb in the indicative, and that can be any tense, but not subjunctive. Okay. Our second if then is if the verb in your first clause is in the future or the conditional. I'm going to take that out. We don't need the conditional. The future, or if it's a command. Plus a time conjunction. Then the verb in your next clause is going to be in the subjunctive. Okay. If we think about it, this makes sense because if something is happening or has already happened, when something else happens, then that makes sense because you know for sure that the second thing is going to happen. But in the second one down here, if you're saying, I will do this when this happens, we're not really sure the second thing is going to happen. So we'll look at specific examples next to really understand this concept. So let's look at this one. I will tell you when I know. I will tell you when I know. I will tell you when I know. So we can see our time conjunction. And we can see our first idea and our second idea. Okay, what tense do you guys see in the first clause? I will tell you.
Future?
The future, exactly, because we have will, that will happen in the future. I will tell you when I know. Since we have the future in our first clause, our second clause needs to be in the subjunctive. And the idea behind that is this sentence says, I will tell you when I know. Do we know when I'm going to know this information?
No. Is this what our homework's gonna be like?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep. We don't know when or even if I'm going to ever know the information that we're talking about in this sentence. I will tell you when I know. Maybe I'll know, maybe I won't. So it makes sense to use the subjunctive because there's doubt. And this looks in Spanish like yo te diré. And there's our future verb. Cuando yo sepa. And there's our time conjunction and our subjunctive verb. All right, so any questions so far, or are we doing okay? I will take your silence as we're doing okay. All right. We're going to do 5 examples in total, so that's our first one. She told me as soon as she found out. She told me as soon as she found out. What tense do we see in she told me?
Past.
Past. Yep. And specifically, ella me dijo. Is dijo the preterite or the imperfect?
Imperfect.
Preterite. Yep, she told me because it happened just one time probably. If it said she was telling me, it would look like decía, and that would be the imperfect.
Wait, how'd you know which one to use?
Because of what I'm saying she told me, not she was telling me.
Okay.
Okay, so she told me tan pronto como, as soon as she found out. And since we have the past here, are we going to have the subjunctive or the indicative for she found out? Did it definitely happen, or did it maybe not?
Indicative.
Indicative, because it definitely happened. She definitely found out, and then she came and told me whatever it was.
I'm confused though. What does the preterite have to do with it?
Just to specify which past tense it is, because there's lots of different past tenses.
Okay.
Just to add a little bit more, make sure we're remembering. We're also going to use the preterite here, which is supo. Make sure that I think that's clear, but make sure it's S-U-P-O, because S-A-P-O means toad. It's a different word. Sapo, but supo means like she found out, she knew. It's the preterite of saber. Okay. Okay. Next one. He always comes home when he leaves work. When he leaves work. And we can see our first idea, our second idea, united by a time conjunction. He always comes home when he leaves work. When we're looking at our first idea, what tense is that? He always comes home. We could take out always and just say he comes home.
Present.
Present. Good. It's in the present tense, which means that our next idea, will that be in the subjunctive or the indicative?
Subjunctive.
We're going to look back at our if-thens present or past both need indicative, and future and commands both need subjunctive. So since this is in the present, we're going to use the indicative. Because we know that when this guy leaves work, he's coming home. Always. Always. Habit. He always comes home when he leaves work.
Not unless they're fighting.
Well, yeah, but then it would be like he won't come home when we fight. And you can see like would not or will not both mean won't, well, will not. So that's the future. But because we have to have like another reason. Anyway, he always comes home. Siempre viene a casa. Siempre viene a casa. Cuando anyone know how to say to leave? To go out?
Ir.
Ir is good to go, but to leave, we use salir. But ir is another, if you said that one, people wouldn't be confused about what you were saying.
Okay.
Sale. Cuando sale. And this is also the present. He comes, he leaves.
So you need the word work too.
Oh yeah, thank you. Del trabajo, from the job, from the work. Okay, and here we go.
So what are the things that you're conjugating?
This verb and this verb.
You can pick it
Like-
up.
Like what are the conjugations for that? The first one.
Oh, what verb do they come from?
No, like what like endings are we using?
We use the present tense here.
You have to change it for every single one.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yeah, you have to depending on what you're saying.
Can you grade easy on this assignment?
I'll
At least on the tenses part, like if it's present or preterite.
tell you what, I don't think that we're not translating from English, so I think it'll be easier to see what's going on. Okay. All right, next example. Write to me as soon as you can.
It's future, right?
That would be like, will you write to me? But this is just telling someone what to do. Saying, hey, write to me.
Present.
Mm-mm. Any thoughts?
Isn't it a command?
It is a command. Yep, it's a command. Because they're saying, do this. Write to me. Do we want it to be our friend or somebody we don't know?
Friend.
Great. Escríbeme. Escríbeme. Tan pronto como. And we see a command. So what is our next thing going to be in? Also, if we just look at it in English, write to me as soon as you can. Do we think that that's going to be indicative or subjunctive? Are they definitely going to be able to write? And do we definitely know when it's going to happen if they are able to?
No.
No. So we're going to use the subjunctive. Subjunctive. And the subjunctive for to be able to, poder, would be puedas, because we have the to form and the to form. So there's present subjunctive. And here is our command. One more. We will stay home until it is safe to leave. We will stay home until it is safe to leave. We can see idea 1, idea 2, connected by our time conjunction. What tense is the first part in we will stay?
Future.
Future, perfect. Nos quedaremos en casa hasta que until it is safe to leave. Do we want the indicative or the subjunctive?
Subjunctive.
Subjunctive. We know for sure it will be safe to leave the house eventually. We just don't know when. So we're going to use the subjunctive. Is would be ser, and the subjunctive that looks like saya. And we can see the present subjunctive. All right, so when you're doing your assignment, that's going to go up later tonight and will be due tomorrow night, you need to look at the beginning and decide if it is the present, the past, the future, or a command, and then decide how to conjugate your verb based on that. If it is the present or the past, it will definitely be the indicative in your next clause. If it's the future or a command, it will definitely be the subjunctive in your next clause. Are there questions?
So what do we need to know besides this, like the present endings?
Yeah, I mean, yes, honestly, you have to know all of your endings, but if you're just going to be doing the second part, which I think you will be, you need to know your present tense indicative, your present subjunctive, and probably also the preterite indicative if it's something in the past. Okay. I know that there's a lot to remember, guys. That's why I've been learning all these tenses all year. Pretty much everything is in notes on Classroom. You just have to look for it because it could be from a while ago, but they are all up there. And if you can't find something, let me know and I'll help you. Okay? All right. So if there are no questions and we feel okay, then we're going to end. And if you have questions, you're going to email me and let me know. Adios.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gracias. Adios.